Chapter 7. Fire and Fury. The warning came too late. By the time the Resistance scouts detected the Dominion fleet approaching Europa, the icy horizon was already aglow with the eerie red of descending orbital bombardments. Alarms blared throughout the colony of Borealis, their shrill wails swallowed by the deafening rumble of Dominion dropships tearing through the atmosphere. The people of the colony, already weary from endless labor, now faced the unthinkable: retaliation. Marcus stood frozen in the central plaza, his breath visible in the frigid air. Around him chaos erupted. Families clutched what few possessions they could carry, while others scrambled for the limited shelter the colony's underground bunkers provided. Overhead, the Dominion's assault craft began deploying their newest terror, hulking mechs designed for ground domination. Elias's voice crackled in Marcus's earpiece. "Rex, Randall, rally your teams. The mechs are priority targets. Marcus, get to the civilians. Help them reach the shelters. We'll hold the line." For a moment, Marcus didn't move. The weight of the past weeks pressed down on him, the missions, the victories, and the losses. Now it all came crashing back, amplified by the sight of his home being torn apart. "Marcus!" Randall's voice jolted him into action. "You want to save them? Start moving!" Marcus sprinted toward the bunkers, weaving through panicked colonists. A young boy tripped ahead of him, dropping a small bundle. Marcus scooped him up without thinking, handing the bundle back as they reached the reinforced doors of the nearest shelter. "Go!" Marcus urged, helping the boy and his family inside. A grizzled technician stood near the entrance, waving civilians in while shouting updates into a comm device. "This one's almost at capacity. Move them to Sector 3. Above, the ground shook as a Dominion mech thundered into the plaza. The massive machine's twin cannons rotated with mechanical precision, unleashing a hail of fire on the fleeing colonists. Marcus turned to see Randall and Rex charging into the fray, their team flanking the mech with practiced precision. "Cover the civilians!" Randall shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. His rifle barked as he targeted the mech's leg joints, drawing its attention away from the plaza. Rex darted in close, his compact device emitting an electromagnetic pulse that briefly disrupted the mech's targeting systems. "Got its eyes! Move now!" he yelled, his Spartan beard flecked with sweat and grime as he dodged a retaliatory strike. The air was thick with smoke and panic. Marcus ushered the last group of civilians into the Sector 3 shelter, slamming the doors shut behind them. Relief was short-lived, however, as another explosion rocked the colony. Through the haze he saw a second mech advancing, its silhouette a nightmare of sharp angles and glowing red optics. "Elias, we're outnumbered," Samara's voice came through, strained but steady. "We need to fall back." "Negative," Elias replied. "We're holding. If they take Borealis, we lose Europa." Marcus's chest tightened. He glanced at the nearest transport, where several of the colonists he had grown up with were huddled. Among them was Lena, her wide eyes locking with his through the smoke. She mouthed something he couldn't hear, but he knew what it meant. "Stay alive." His earpiece crackled again, this time with Rex's voice. "We need you on the line, Marcus. The mechs won't wait." He hesitated, torn between the desperate faces in the shelter and the battlefield where his comrades fought. Protect the people he loved, or fight to ensure the rebellion's survival? The choice felt impossible. The decision came in a single breath. Marcus grabbed a discarded rifle and turned toward the plaza, sprinting back into the chaos. When he arrived, Randall was pinned behind a wrecked transport, his team trying to keep the mech's relentless fire at bay. "What are you doing here?" Randall shouted over the din. "Finishing what we started," Marcus replied, sliding into cover beside him. He raised the rifle and fired at the mech's exposed power conduit, drawing sparks but no critical damage. "Aim lower," Randall barked. "The knee joints are weak. Bring it down." Marcus adjusted his aim, focusing on the joints. Beside him, Rex appeared, grinning despite the chaos. "Welcome to the fun part," he said, tossing Marcus a small charge. "Stick this on its leg. That'll get their attention." The battle raged for what felt like hours. One mech fell, then another, but the cost was high. The plaza was a graveyard of debris and shattered lives. By the time the last Dominion dropship retreated, Borealis was left scarred but standing. Marcus sat on the steps of a crumbling building, his hands shaking as he surveyed the aftermath. Around him, the resistance regrouped, their expressions grim. Samara tended to a wounded fighter, while Randall and Rex stood together, their bond evident in the way they leaned on each other without speaking. Elias approached, his face set in hard lines. "You made the right call, Marcus. Borealis still stands because of it." Marcus didn't respond immediately. His mind lingered on the faces of those who hadn't made it, and the colony that would never be the same. Finally he nodded. "Let's make sure it wasn't for nothing," he said, his voice steady despite the weight of his words. Above them, the sky was a bruised red, the lingering traces of fire and fury fading into the icy expanse of Europa.